Hello everyone, welcome to another session of our TOP series with me, Ma'am Shell. Previously, we talked about the psychodynamic theories, pero overview lang kasi yun, no, of the several theories under the psychodynamic theory. And pinag-usapan din natin last time kung sino-sino yung mga proponents and ano-ano yung mga key concepts nila in the hope that we will be able to compare and contrast the different theories under psychodynamic theory based on their key concepts, no? But for today specifically, I would like to share with you more about one of the first psychodynamic theories. Ayan naman nakikita nyo sa ating slide, no? Ang man who started it all. So, syempre, uumpisahan natin siya kay Sigmund Freud and his very interesting psychoanalytic theory. So, yung ibang theories under the psychodynamic theory, pag-uusapan din natin sila sa ibang video naman, sa ibang discussion session. Okay, so sino ba yan? Si Sigmund Freud, no? So, he is an Austrian neurologist and he created psychoanalysis to treat psychopathology. So, founding father siya of the psychoanalysis. Okay? Now, ma'am, sabi mo kanina to treat psychopathology. Ano po ba yung psychopathology? No? Pag sinabi natin psychopathology, ito po yung mga symptoms that are psychological in nature. Okay? So, I have mentioned this to you before, reviewin lang natin, no, that psychoanalysis is both a psychological theory and a therapy employed by Sigmund Freud. So, siya yung proponent of the psychoanalytic theory and he also used psychoanalysis as a treatment for mental disorders. Okay? Now, the theory of psychoanalysis emphasizes on the unconscious mental processes. Diba? Very heavy siya on the unconscious and how the unconscious affects our present life, our present behavior. No? But before we delve on the unconscious discussions, we will answer this question first. Ang question ko sa inyo ay, naniniwala ba kayo that past is past? So type nyo dyan sa comment section kung naniniwala kayo or hindi kayo naniniwala at bakit, no? Well, ako kasi, hindi ako naniniwala. Naniniwala ako doon sa past is past because I believe that although our past is part of who we are not prisoners, no, of our past. We do not live there anymore. Well, ako, I don't live there anymore. It's just me. So for me, hindi ako naniniwala that past is past, no? Yan. But, not according to Freud, 'di ba? Kasi sabi nga niya, yung ating mga past experiences talagang nakakaapekto daw siya sa kung ano yung mga behavior natin ngayon. So ganito 'yan, no? 'Di ba? Sometimes, no, or oftentimes actually when we try to understand someone's personality, we attempt to understand ano ba yung past ng taong to. Paano ba yung upbringing niya? Okay? We try to associate the person's past experiences in determining the person's personality. Diba? Balikan natin yung example natin last time. Palagi-lagi natin siyang binabalikan. Kala ko ba sabi mo, ma'am, past is past, no? Hindi. For example purposes lang to, no? Yung example natin last time, yung ex mo na nahuli mong nakipag-holding hands sa iba, ilang beses nakipag-holding hands, ilang beses mo na siyang nahuli, kaya nga kayo nag-break. Diba? So, marami kang naging theories about it. Bakit kaya siya ganon? Bakit pa ulit-ulit niya akong niloloko? Diba? So, isa sa mga naging theories mo ay siguro nung bata siya ay hindi siya love ng mama niya. Okay? Kulang siguro siya sa atensyon. Kaya naghanap siya ng atensyon sa maraming tao. Kulang yung atensyon na binibigay ko sa kanya. Hinahanap niya sa iba. Kagaya nung na-experience niya nung bata siya. Yan. Diba? So, sometimes sinasabi natin na, naku, baka naman hindi siya mahal ng mga parents niya. Tinatalakan siya ng nanay niya at tatay niya. So, minsan sinasabi pa natin na baka naka-experience to ng something traumatic ng childhood niya. No? May mga ganun tayong explanation minsan. So, we say those things, we reference someone's past experiences to explain, no, yung behavior nila sa present times. Okay? Now, those kinds of perspective roughly relates to the concept of psychoanalysis, no? Where si Freud, he believed that the events in our childhood have a great influence on our adult lives, no? And yung mga events na yon, nasa-shape talaga nito ang ating personality. So, yung theory niya posits that our past experiences influence our present behavior. Okay? Now, may introduce ako sa inyo si Anna O. Let's talk about the case of Anna O. Sino ba si Anna O? Real name niya ay Bertha Pappenheim. And I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. But yeah, that's Anna O. Yung work ni Sigmund Freud and another person, si Josef Breuer, marked the turning point in the career of Sigmund Freud. Okay? Now, Anna O, she suffered from hysteria, no? And ano ba yung hysteria? It's an emotionally charged behavior that seems excessive and out of control. No? It is a condition in which the patient exhibits mga physical symptoms like paralysis, convulsions, hallucinations, even loss of speech, no? And without an apparent physical cause. So yung doctor ni Anna O, si Josef Breuer, student siya ni Sigmund Freud, no? So, kinukwento niya kay Sigmund Freud yung case ni Anna O. So, both of them, no, si Breuer, with the help of Sigmund Freud, they succeeded in treating Anna by helping her to recall forgotten memories of mga traumatic events, no? Si Anna O, sabi niya, kapag kinukwento niya, kapag nababalikan niya yung mga events na yun, tapos siguro pinaprocess siya, no, ni Breuer, parang nahi-heal siya. Okay? Nakakaramdam siya ng kagaangan ng pakiramdam. So she called those sessions with Breuer as talking cure. So feeling niya na cure siya doon sa kanyang mga physical symptoms only through going back to her traumatic experiences pag binabalikin niya, pag sinishare niya. No? So, doon nagsimula yung term na talk therapy. Okay? Dahil tinawag ni Anna O mismo yung mga sessions na yan as talking cure. So, si Breuer, siya yung nag-diagnose ng hysteria ni Anna O, and later on, diniscuss niya yun with Freud. And then si Freud, he developed his own ideas of what lay at the root of Anna O's condition. So her treatment played an important role in the establishment and development of psychoanalysis. Okay? Now, while Freud never actually met Pappenheim or si Anna O, kinukwento lang kasi ni Breuer sa kanya yung case ni Anna O. Okay? Pero hindi sila nag-meet ni Sigmund Freud. But despite that, no, sobrang na-fascinate si Freud dun sa case ni Anna O, and his fascination led him to write a book. No, it served as the basis for studies on hysteria. So that's the title of the book that he co-wrote with Breuer. Now, si Breuer, dinescribe niya lang kay Freud yung condition ni Anna, and her treatment led Freud to conclude na yung kanyang hysteria was rooted in childhood sexual abuse. So, ini-insist yun ni Freud. Si Breuer, hindi naman siya naniniwala doon sa sinasabi ni Freud na yon. So, si Freud, his insistence on sexual abuse as a cause of hysteria eventually led to a rift, no, with Breuer, kasi he does not share this view on the origination of hysteria. But yung method, yung proseso ng talk therapy, they both agreed na nakatulong siya sa hysteria ni Anna O. So because of this rift between the two, yung collaboration nila ended. But Freud, even though nagkaroon sila ng rift ni Breuer, he continued his work in the development of talk therapy, or the talking cure as a treatment for mental illness. Okay, now in the studies in hysteria, si Freud, he proposed that ang mga physical symptoms, nagsisurface siya, nagmamanifest siya because it is a representation of deeply repressed conflicts. Okay? So, yun yung sinabi niya. At that time, si Freud, he was not just advancing an idea or an explanation of something that is already known, no? Di lang niya ini-explain ang isang particular illness na talagang meron na noon, or meron ng gamot, but he was actually implicitly proposing something new, something revolutionary, a new theory of the human psyche itself. So kaya siya naging famous din, no? Bit by bit, nagkaroon siya ng maraming pag-aaral about yung hysteria, yung talk therapy, no, and nag-emerge yung theory niya as a result of clinical investigations kasi sobrang naging interested si Freud, no? So nag-emerge yung theory na yon as a result of clinical investigations by Freud. Okay, now, because of his investigations, no, ang dami-dami niyang inaaral, it led him to propose na merong at least 3 levels of the mind or 3 provinces of the minds or the level of consciousness. Kasi sa mga books, no, sa mga mababasa nyo siguro din, if you do a research on this, iba-iba yung tawag nila. So, merong levels of the mind, provinces of the mind, levels of consciousness, or level of awareness. So, pare-parehas lang yon, no? So, si Sigmund Freud, he believed that each of these parts of the mind plays an important role in influencing the behavior. Okay? So, ano-ano ba yung mga levels of the mind na yan? So, we have conscious, subconscious, and we also have the unconscious. And in order for us siguro to understand fully yung theory ni Freud, it is important that we first understand ano ba yung paniniwala ni Freud, no, as to how these 3 elements interact to contribute to the human experience and personality. No, so each level of awareness or consciousness has a role to play in shaping the human behavior and the human thoughts. In general, yung personality. Okay? So the first level of consciousness is known as the conscious state. Okay? So the conscious state refers to our immediate awareness of things, no, that we are experiencing. So we make use of our conscious mind when we take input from our senses. Halimbawa, from the stimuli around you, yung nakikita mo, you are aware that there's light, you are aware of the sounds that you hear, no? Ano ba ba? You are aware of the smells surrounding you, no? So, from these stimuli around you, ina-analyze mo yung mga information na to, no? And then, you make decisions based on this information. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin conscious state, these are the things that we can bring to our awareness. It consists of what we are aware of at any given point in time. So, like ngayon, nakikinig kayo, di ba, naririnig nyo, nagbabasa. Also, siguro yung mga, habang nagbabasa kayo, merong mga thoughts na nagpa-pass through sa inyong mind, no? Habang nakikinig kayo. Yung sensations na nararamdaman nyo, your perceptions from what's surrounding you, and maybe habang nakikinig kayo, naalala nyo na naman si X, di ba? So, yung mga memories that you bring into your awareness, those that you could recognize from where you are at the moment, all of those things are part of your conscious experience. Okay? Ayan. So, yung next level of consciousness is the subconscious, or some would call it pre-conscious. They're just the same, no? Ano naman ang subconscious? We can say that the subconscious contains all the things from which our dreams are made of. Yan. Hindi, parang ganda pakinggan, no? Mako-consider kasi natin siya na storehouse of all remembered experiences. So, operative word is remembered. Okay? So, yung mga naaalala natin na experiences natin. So, every experience na pinagdaanan mo, napapagdaanan mo, every thought, every impression that you may have had because of these experiences, no, they live in your subconscious mind. So, by the way, see, conscious, subconscious, unconscious, they are not physical in any way. So, nasabi ko before, di ba, you don't, just like id, ego, and superego, which we will discuss later on, hindi sila something physical na when you cut the brain open, nakikita mo sila. So they're like systems, they're like functions, okay? And ayun nga, na-mention ko na yung mga experiences, yung mga impressions mo about what's happening around you, yan, they live in your subconscious mind. Okay? But they're not part of your brain, ha? Subconscious mind is not a part of your brain. So it's not physical, okay? Now, these things, yung mga experiences, memories, no, they influence your patterns of thoughts and behavior. And sometimes far more than we realize. Okay? So, minsan hindi tayo aware na kaya pala ganun yung behavior natin kasi meron pala tayong ganung klaseng experience. Naka-store lang siya sa ating subconscious, no? Sometimes, nabibring lang siya to our conscious awareness kapag may naka-trigger. No? May naka-trigger lang sa atin kaya naaalala natin siya. Kasi isang characteristic yun ng subconscious. No? Ang subconscious, it holds information that is just below the surface of awareness, meaning a person can easily retrieve such information and can usually refer to this as memories, no, with ease. So, ibig sabihin, madali siyang mahugot. Kapag kailangan mo yung information na yun, halimbawa may nagtanong sa'yo, may nagpaalala sa'yo, kaya mo siyang sagutin kasi nandun lang siya just below your awareness level, no? Nandun lang siya below the surface of your awareness. So, madali mo siyang nahuhugot from your memories when the need calls for it. So, for example, if someone asks you right now, when is the birthday of your mother? So, madali mo siyang masagot. Although, hindi mo siya iniisip bago ka tanungin, so wala siya sa consciousness mo. Pag tinanong ka, nasasagot mo siya agad. Okay? Kasi yung mga ganong kinds of information nasa subconscious level sila of our awareness. Or maybe someone would ask you, what's your most embarrassing experience in high school? If it is an experience na, although it's embarrassing, but it was something light and something na natatawanan mo na lang din, and hindi naman siya sobrang traumatic, then madali mo din siyang naaalala. Okay? And pwede mo siyang ikwento, nakukwento mo siya. Kasi it's just a funny story that you could remember because it happened to you. But if hindi naman siya tinatanong, pag wala namang trigger, wala siya sa consciousness mo. So, nasa subconscious mo lang siya. Okay? So, I hope that makes sense, no? But, meron tayong tinatawag naman din na unconscious experiences din tong mga ito, also thoughts and desires. Like, may mga embarrassing experience tayo na ayaw na nating balikan. So sometimes, yung mga experiences na yon, napupush natin yon from the subconscious to our unconscious. Ang nangyayari doon ay nagkakaroon tayo ng motivated forgetting. Kasi ayaw ko na itong maalala. No? Yeah. So the memories of past experiences live in what Freud referred to as the subconscious part of our minds. No? That, ayun nga, we might not be aware of one moment and then all of a sudden, no, pwede tayong maging fully focused on it kapag ka natanong tayo or yun nga, kapag ka kailangan yung information na yon. Okay? Madali siyang i-bring out from our subconscious to our consciousness level kasi nga, ang subconscious just very, parang close by lang siya sa consciousness. Kung baga, yung mga bagay na ginagawa natin madalas, things that we do through repetition every day na pa-practice natin, these are the things that become locked into our subconscious mind and they become part of our behavior, permanent part of our behavior. Also, yung mga sobrang importante sa atin na tao or pangyayari, like our exes, yung mga pinagsamahan tayo, yung masasakit na nangyari. Minsan nasa subconscious lang din naman natin sila. Ayun, same thing. They become part of the subconscious, no? Ayan. Now, yung final level of consciousness is known as the unconscious, okay? And it's made up of, just like subconscious, memories, experiences, thoughts, and primitive instinctual desires, no? And yung mga hidden desires natin, nandito yung thoughts natin about sex, ano ba, yung mga things na hindi natin readily na share sa iba, yon na minsan gusto nating makalimutan siguro or hindi natin kayang i-verbalize kasi pag na-share natin sa iba, baka ma-judge tayo or baka magkaroon sila ng feelings of disgust about it. Yan. Yung mga desires natin, ganyan. These things are buried deep within ourselves, no? And they are far below our conscious awareness. Unlike the subconscious na madali siyang mahila or mahugot, no, from our memories or kaya natin siyang i-verbalize agad pag tinanong tayo. Okay? So, yun yung difference ni unconscious kay subconscious. Although parehas silang all about the thoughts, the memories, and experiences, ang kaibahan nila, yung kay subconscious, madaling hugutin from the memories when a situation calls for it. Si unconscious, hindi siya ganon kadali. Okay? Why? Because ayun, we can't readily access this information kasi stored siya sa deepest level of the mind. Pinushback natin siya dun sa level na yon kasi difficult siya for us to open up to other people. Maybe it was something traumatic. Maybe it's something that we have repressed. We have motivated ourselves to forget. Yung mga pinilit mong kalimutan, di ba? May mga sobrang scary na mga pangyayari sa buhay mo, traumatic, na alam mo yon, pinush back mo from your subconscious to your unconscious kasi too threatening siya, no? For some people to fully acknowledge yung mga events na yon or yung mga memories na yon. So, even if there may be situations that may call for you to recall them, hindi mo siya bine-verbalize kasi ayaw mo na siyang balikan. So, pinilit mo na siyang ibaon sa limot. Iyon yung term, no? And, di ba minsan pag may mga pangyayari sa'yo in the past na ayaw mo talagang pag-usapan, some of them, hindi mo na talaga siya nare-recognize sa conscious level mo. No? And even if tanungin ka about it, you don't wanna talk about it anymore. So, hindi mo siya basta ganong mahugot, no? From your memories, repressed. Ayun. So, even though we push these memories out from our consciousness, it does not change the fact that once they have existed and we have lived these experiences and thoughts, no, even, and they have a significant influence on our behavior, no, even if we do not want to admit it, even if we are not aware of them. Okay? Ayan. Okay, now, para mas madaling matandaan yung mga sinabi ko, na meron tayo ditong imagery of an iceberg. Okay? Ayan. Okay? If you look at that, you can see na yung una mong nakita was just the tip of an iceberg, diba? This is dubbed as Freud's iceberg theory. So, it is an imagery of an iceberg meant to help you understand the separation of the three levels of consciousness. What we are seeing is an iceberg that floats in the water, but what we are seeing is just the tip of an iceberg, okay? And only a very small percentage of the whole is visible above the surface. Okay? Yung largest and most influential part, they remain unseen below the surface. I want you to look at this. Ayan. Diba? So, if you are going to look at this iceberg, makikita mo na yung tip, no, very, very ano lang siya, very small as compared to the whole of the iceberg. Okay, so this iceberg metaphor will help you understand how much of ourselves we choose to freely reveal to the other people on a day-to-day basis. So sabi nga ni Freud, the mind is likened to an iceberg. Actually, I don't know if it was actually Freud who said it, but this was ako ba to nakita? Basta it was dubbed as Freud's iceberg theory. Okay? So parang metaphor siya that likens the mind to an iceberg. Okay? So the top of the iceberg that you can see above the water represents the conscious mind. Okay? The part of the iceberg that is submerged below the water but is still slightly visible, no? Kaya madali mo siyang makita kung titignan mo siya closely, kung malapit ka dun sa iceberg. Okay, so yan yung subconscious or yung pre-conscious mind natin. But the bulk of the iceberg that lies unseen beneath the waterline ang nagre-represent so dun sa unconscious. No? So napakalaki ng unconscious. Sobrang kaunti lang yung pinapakita natin sa maraming tao. Okay? Pero maraming mga tumatakbo sa isipan natin, maraming mga bagay tayo na tayo lang din yung nakakaalam or minsan hindi na nga tayo aware kasi binaon na natin siya sa limot. So like ako, ilang years na ba akong nabubuhay? Maraming na akong experiences in the past. Okay? And not all of those experiences are right in front of me, in front of my face. I tell everybody no. Kasi lahat ng mga experiences ko na yun, some are already pushed back to my unconscious. Okay? Or some to my subconscious that when somebody would ask me about this, I could tell them about my experiences. But there are many experiences that I do not share to everybody because, there are things that we would like to keep to ourselves. So, yung iba doon nasa unconscious part. Okay? So, ayan. So, just like the iceberg, no? In precisely the same way, each of us will often have a part of ourselves that we reveal to others, no? With the larger part of ourselves being deeply submerged. Okay? Doon sa tubig that no one ever gets to see. Okay? And, one of the goals of psychoanalysis is actually to make the unconscious conscious. So this is just some additionals, no? If you have ever heard of the term slip of the tongue, the phrase slip of the tongue, well, many of us know we may have had an experience where hindi natin gustong sabihin pero biglang nasabi natin, no? Commonly referred to as a Freudian slip yan. No, yung mga nadudulas. No, at some point in our lives, in one way or another, nangyayari sa atin yan. So, a Freudian slip is an error, usually in speech or action that reveals something about our unconscious feelings. So, si Freud, he believed that while the unconscious mind is largely inaccessible, yung mga contents nito can sometimes come up unexpectedly, no? So, through this Freudian slips. So, slips of the tongue or yung mga misstatements are believed to reveal underlying unconscious thoughts or feelings. So, a great example of a Freudian slip is a person who accidentally uses a former boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend's name when referring to a current partner. So, pwedeng ang excuse ay, it was just a mistake, it was just an error, but, Freud believed that these slips, no, showed that there could have been a sudden intrusion of the unconscious mind into the conscious mind. So, ang kadalasan ang reason ay because of unresolved or repressed feelings. No? So, pwede namang natawag mo din ang pangalan ng isang person, no, na meron ka lang hidden desire pala and talagang pinipilit mong itago yung damdamin mo na yon sa isang tao na yon. Kaso lagi mo siyang nababanggit sa mga usapan, 'di ba? Kahit naman di relevant yung pagbanggit mo, pagkwento mo dun sa tao na yon, bigla mo siyang nasisingit, no, sa usapan. Tapos ikaw din nagugulat ka, parang wala namang connect yung kwento ko sa kanya about dun sa tao na yun. Naisingit mo pa talaga yun, no? So parang ganon. Okay? Now, yung iba nag-aaway kasi naisip mo yan. So, lagi mo sigurong iniisip, kaya naaalala mo pa din, nasasabi mo pa din. Yan. So, may mga ganon. No? So, slip of the tongue. So, these are Freudian slips. No? So, sometimes naman, aside from slip of the tongue, pwedeng nagmamanifest sa dreams mo. No? Yung mga nasa subconscious mind mo, na pala unconscious ka pala na naiisip mo pala yon, hindi mo lang mini-verbalize or pinipilit mong kalimutan. Diba? So sabi nga nila, pag meron kang mga tinatago, halimbawa na damdamin, the harder you resist, the more it grows. So ayan, so minsan napapanaginipan mo yung mga bagay na gano'n. Okay? So to other psychologists, no, especially yung mga Freudian slips na yan, hindi naman siya real point of interest for many, lalo na yung mga baguhan na mga psychologist natin. No? But a Freudian slip is just a verbal error or a slip of the tongue for most of them rather than a path into the deeper parts of one's psyche. So, ang ingay nung aso, I don't know kung naririnig nyo. But, anyway, that's the end of what I want to cover for today. Yan muna, no? And I will have a part 2 video of the discussion of some more of Freud's theory, interesting theory, and sa next video, siguro, I will talk more about the elements of personality, the id, ego, superego, ano pa ba hindi ko na-cover today, defense mechanisms, and also we will brush up on the psychosexual stages of development, being that it's also a part of Freud's theory. So that's it for today. Thank you so much. Pag meron kayong tanong, pwede kayong mag-message sa GC or sa comment section ng ating YouTube. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening.